Howdy. You know, I was a teacher for 7 years for special needs children. And it never occurred to me to think there was ulterior motives in what I was told to teach. Then this pandemic hit. And oh boy, so many eyes were opened. Mine, especially. I ended up doing a 1.5 year research on the brainwashing of our children from 5 years old throughout high school into college. Heck, even my generation in school was brainwashed. Don't think you were? When you have a plan against a country to take it over through manipulation, you need to weaken those that are the strongest in the group. Our men. My generation was taught power to the woman. Be a strong, independent woman. Leave your families and go to work so that you're equal. Power to the woman, right? Well, I'm going to tell you, there's only so much power to give a couple. And if you give it all to the woman, you leave none for the man. And how do you respect your men if they have no power? If the women can say, go ahead, if you don't do what I tell you to do, leave. The government will take care of me and the children. Not well, but we will survive. This does nothing for families, bonding, or the upbringing of children. What this does is put more stress, depression, and instability within the family atmosphere. It's all part of the plan. So in my research, I looked up for elementary school age kids, the books that they were giving and the video assists. I even went to the libraries to see if they actually were there. Graphic, pornographic, explicit books on sexual intercourse, fisting, all sorts of horrible things are inside these books, and it's designated for 10-year-olds. In junior high, they're getting horrible books like Lawn Boy, which you and I would think it was about the lawnmower man, but no. You can read in there, I think page 39, where this 10-year-old boy goes out back in the behind the bleachers with Doug Global, understand Global, and they touched each other's D's, and there was even some mouths involved, the book states. In junior high, they're also giving them genderqueer, racist, the most awful racist books like Out of the Darkness, Lolita Express, The Bluest Eyes. They're promoting racism where there was none. Our high schoolers are getting an exquisite look into how serial killers think. You remember the Columbine shootings? back then when that occurred, and there was so many close together with it, 2 or 3, I looked at somebody and I said, if I was an evil, twisted person teaching school, I could turn those kids into serial killers if I wanted to. And this sure seems odd that we've never experienced this before. Now all of a sudden we're having 3 of them all together. No, that's not normal. So, during my research, a 1.5 year research, I looked into what the high schoolers were getting. And I even got some homework from Rainier, Oregon, where they were teaching children day after day about a new serial killer, asking them how they got caught, what their motives were, why they chose their victims. In essence, teaching them to think like a serial killer. And then we have to wonder why all of a sudden all these children are killing children. Let's add to that. What else is being promoted to that age of child? Blood and gut video games where normalizing murder on the streets is okay. Remember, our high schoolers are still developing their minds, ethics, and morals. And it's still our job to guide them. Now, why? Why would they want to turn our children into serial killers? To cause havoc, to cause more depression, as if you don't have enough watching the homeless people stacking up on your watch. Making sure you know that's where you're going to end up if you're not careful, if you do not comply. They are doing this to our high schoolers for one reason: to break our Constitution. That Constitution, even though they already have changed it without your authority, a vote, or permission, like Amendment 7 in Oregon's Constitution, Benson never had a vote on that. He was holding 2 positions, acting governor and secretary of state. And he just went and changed it without permission, without a vote or authority. But if they can get you to give up one of your main rights, which is protection against your own government and foreign terrorists, then they will break the Constitution and put it in default. That is the only reason, because if they're going to fully take us over, they don't want us fighting back. This is why they've tried to poison us with white sugars, with metals in the air, in the soil, in our foods, in our waters. They weaken our men by giving them female hormones, so much so that many of them have even grown breasts. And you wonder why so many are confused today. Knowing this and still allowing it is welcoming it. You can't really say you don't know if it's right here in plain sight. I believe we should all be setting up a review board, civilian review board, and we go and meet up on the 1st to the 3rd of July at the capitals and city halls, where we discuss what we think the government should be doing, how they have been doing, with the right to fire them if they aren't doing their jobs. What do you think? My fellow Oregonians, there is a group that assembles and fights the de facto government. It's not a real government of the people, it's a de facto. 1871 it was, or 1771, it was turned into a corporation by the Queen, or by England, should I say. And in May, or in 2021, I believe it was, or 2020, the Queen would not renew the treaty that we had signed in 1783, so they wouldn't attack us again after the Revolutionary War, which isn't really legal or lawful. That's blackmail, and of which England owes us a lot of money, because nobody should benefit from criminal activities. So there is an assembly that meets up and fights this de facto government. They archive everything. So once this criminal organization is put down, they can go back and review our findings, archiving it even further. It is called ORSJA. It is a de jure court of Oregon. Understand there is also a militia. Not only is every one of you between the age of 18 and 45, I think it is, a part of the Second Amendment militia. You don't even need to sign up, you're just already a part of it. But there is a state of Oregon militia. These are our people that are training all the time in case they need to protect us. Each and every one of us should go seek them out and sign up, for one day we may truly need them and you. Not to mention, it's a great feeling to be a part of something the people have promoted for goodness sake. There's a lot of things we aren't told. A lot of diseases that can be fixed so simply. They don't want to. They want you weak. They want you stupid. They want your children dumbed down. They have removed civics from school so that your children will never have aspirations of being one of them. Notice how the government is filled with family members, either through marriage or direct bloodlines. Yes, there is a few that creep in, like that green lady who, if they push her too much further, she's going to bring down the hammer on the lot of them. I swear that woman is ready to blow. I enjoy watching her. What is her name? Margaret Green something. But it ain't up to them. It is up to us to educate our children. Each one of our children should be able to tell you what the basics of the Constitution is. If they can't, it's time to start teaching them. It's their rights. And if they give up any of their rights, they give up all their rights. And if you have no rights, what are you then? Do you know that? Oh, that was lovely. Do you know that only slaves, and it don't matter what race, were given birth certificates? The way you became a slave is you became a captive. You lost in a battle. That captive then was registered and got a birth certificate or a certificate of some sort. Their children, after they were a slave, a registered captive, would get birth certificates. Slaves were highly tracked. Highly tracked. Our history has been changed. I always wondered why Hitler burnt books, and that was to change history, so the German people would not know he was using Karl Marx's teachings in their schools, turning the children against the parents. Karl Marx, the guy that wrote the Communist Manifesto, the one that the universities are promoting in our college-age children, they only give them half-truths. So, of course, they're going to think Karl Marx is great. And he's not. He was a drunken, perverted publisher that spent his last days in jail. What was it, 1933, when Hitler came in? Do you know who put him there into power? It was the Rothschilds. Because somewhere down the line, his mother gave birth to a bastard child that became Hitler. Karl Marx was also related in a roundabout way to the Rothschilds. See a link? The school systems today are using the social emotional learning curriculum. This was first invented by, I believe, Martha Rothschilds. I do confuse Rockefellers. In 1910, she studied it for many years, and it's now implemented in our schools. Do you understand how emotional our children are right now? They can't even handle life. Seems like the Rothschilds' plan is working. Do you know that it was the Rothschilds that put a restriction on women voting in the 18th century? Before that, women voted. People were equal. It was just that, well, here in America, people were equal before that. We all were escaping the tyranny of King James. So before the Rothschilds put that restriction on women, women voted, they could work, but they chose mostly to stay home, be with the children. We are nurturers by trade, by nature. And the men went out and worked their butts off for their family. They were needed. They were needed as protectors and providers, where the women were needed as nurturers and guide the children down the right path. Do you kind of understand now, by taking that power away from our men, weakening our society, putting mothers to work so they can't guide the children? So, oops, the government will have to do it. And the government will teach your children to comply, to not be free, own nothing, and you better be happy. It's time to rethink what's going on, folks. And it's time to get to the capitals and City Hall. July 1st through the 3rd. Let not what our forefathers have done and our grandfathers have done for our freedom be in vain. And to understand and then teach our children truth, morals, ethics, things that are a little hard to come by these days, don't you think? That's all I have for you, folks. I hope it helped somebody. Take care and happy journeys. The Boat Lady.